Also talking this morning about a bit of breaking news today, which we brought you on BBC WM. Rather curious tale, really. I never heard anything like this, that Stafford Hospital could be put into administration. Stafford Hospital, used, of course, by many BBC WM listeners around the Cannock, Hensford, Rugeley areas and around South Staffs. This is all after the regulator Monitor, which was brought in to look at the finances of the Mid Staffs NHS Trust today, announced it was speaking to the government about appointing administrators to look after it. Let's speak to the Conservative MP for Cannock, Aidan Burley. Good morning to you, Aidan.
Good morning.
I've never heard anything like this. What does it actually mean?
Well, it doesn't quite mean what you suggested. It's not Stafford Hospital that's being put into administration. It's the Mid Staffordshire Foundation Trust. So it is the NHS Trust that manages both Stafford and Cannock Hospital in my constituency that today has been started the process to be put into administration by the independent health regulator Monitor, because it is both clinically and financially unsustainable. So,
but Aidan, if a company can't meet its bills, it might be put into administration, and the administrators might come in, look at the assets there and say, right, can we flog this off to somebody who can run it better? You can't really flog off two hospitals in Staffordshire, can you? What does it in practice mean?
Well, what it means is that someone more competent has got to manage our two hospitals. And I think what many of your listeners will find astonishing is that today an NHS trust is being abolished that just 5 years ago was considered so outstanding by the last Labour government that they awarded them the highly coveted Foundation Trust status in just 2008. And here we are 5 years later, that the Monitor independent health regulator has said that they are so incompetent, both financially and clinically, they actually have to be abolished. It's the first ever time a foundation trust has been abolished, and I'm afraid it's a very sad indictment of the Labour years when targets were put above clinical care, as we saw with the Francis report just a few weeks ago. And it really does now fall to this government and to Monitor to work out a different way of managing these two hospitals, these two assets, as you call them, so that services can be kept for people in Stafford and Cannock and are sustainable on a long-term basis. And that is something that I will be working with whoever the Trust Special Administrator is that is appointed within the next few days to ensure that services stay for my constituents.
But if it's not going to be run by Mid Staff's NHS Trust, who might run Cannock Hospital and Stafford Hospital?
Well, I think that's the million-dollar question, and we will learn more next Tuesday when Monitor publishes its final report into the future of Mid-Staff Trust, which we now know the trust will be abolished, and that is the question. My suspicion is that Stafford Hospital will probably end up being run by the University Hospital of North Staffordshire, and I simply don't know what the future is for Cannock Hospital in my constituency. Clearly, both Walsall and Wolverhampton NHS trusts are nearby. They are well-run trusts, and they already use some space, in the case of Wolverhampton, in Cannock Hospital. So I suspect that the solution to Cannock's future may lie with either Walsall or Wolverhampton, but we will learn more next week. OK,
but the reality is, A, it won't be sold off. It won't be run by a private operator in the way that you might, if you were selling off a business, sell it to another business. That's not going to happen. And you'd say the likeliest scenario is that rather than a new trust being created, that the two hospitals within the trust are likely to be divvied up amongst existing and better run trusts.
Well, I mean, my view is this trust should never have been created in the first place. It's simply too small to manage the hospitals, and they've done an absolutely dreadful job that led to thousands of people dying unnecessarily. And yet somehow during this period of clinical and financial incompetence that has basically meant they have been bankrupt for about the past 3 years, the Labour government thought they were doing so wonderfully well they awarded them the coveted Foundation Trust status. So we now need to look for a new way of managing our two assets. I will be fighting very hard, as Jeremy Lefroy, the MP journey for Stafford will be to secure services for our population. And my view is that those services have to be provided from Stafford Hospital and from Cannock Hospital. And we will both be working with whoever the administrator is to make that case very strongly, that even though the Labour NHS structures have failed us, that actually we need to work out a new way of securing the future of services for the people of our constituencies.
Aidan, really appreciate your time this morning. Thank you, Aidan Burley, the Conservative MP for Cannock. And perhaps the language used by Aidan Burley helps us understand a little bit more clearly what is going on.